my daughter Mavi, and my son Deniz. They are my tiny swallows that I look for and be happy whenever I see a bird.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a place where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter.
And I'm Lee. We are grateful you joined us today. Please note that this is a story of loss and has triggers.
Thanks to our lost parents who are willing to be vulnerable and share their children with us.
If you're listening to this podcast, just know that on our YouTube channel there are pictures and videos that are related to the stories that are being shared.
Subscribe and share it with a friend that might need it and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us. Welcome back to Still a Part of Us. We are so pleased to have Elif here. I'm just so glad that she just persisted and tried to reach out to us as she felt really strongly to share the stories of her sweet children. And so welcome. Thank you so much, Elif, for being here and for being willing to share your children with us today.
Thank you for having me, Winter.
Yes, it's amazing to be able to talk to people around the world. And this is, let's just start with your introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your family and what your family looks like at the time of your children's birth?
Me and my husband, we are both from Turkey, actually, and we met during our education at university. I am a concert pianist and I'm working with children for the past 8 years.
Amazing.
My husband is actually a graphic designer, but he's more focused on social media and some artificial intelligence design. And we have been married for almost 8 years.
Amazing. So in Turkey, so I just want to point out that right now we are recording. It's during the day for me, and it's really late for you. And so I appreciate you just doing this.
It's 12:15 p.m.
It's no big deal. So this is what we got to do if we have an international call. So thank you again. So wonderful. And then I have a question. So you've been married for 8 years, and was having a family part of your plans? Did you guys always want to have children?
Well, we were sure that, after some time we were going to have children. It was like first you get married and then you have children. And we waited for about 3 years. Before trying, and we wanted to establish our marriage, our life, our jobs, so that everything is perfect when we decide to have a family. Well, little did we know we would be trying so hard to conceive. We actually were diagnosed with male factor infertility after about trying for 6 months. My husband has azoospermia, which is virtually zero sperm in the sample. So it took us quite a while to conceive, about 4 years.
Yeah. Wow. And was it, so because of these kind of issues, then how did you guys end up conceiving? Was it the natural way and it just took 4 years, or was there help?
We conceived with IVF, but before IVF, it took us almost a year just to find that one sperm. My husband had some medical treatments. And we tried like medical treatments and some alternative medicine. We did everything. And just when we thought, okay, this is not going to happen, we need to find another way to start a family. Then we found the sperm. It was like such a shock for us.
And it was it was one sperm.
It was actually at first 10 sperm.
Wow.
And we were so shocked, we were not even expecting that. And when we got the results from the IVF lab, I was like, oh my God, we have sperm.
Yay. Wow.
It was like such a shock for us because, I am such a dark and twisted person. I always think about the worst. I'm
Okay.
not really a shiny person at all. So I was so shocked, and we kind of jumped into IVF just
Immediately.
like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And our first attempt was negative, and we were not successful, and we took about 6 months of break from the whole IVF treatments, and then tried again. And this time it was a chemical pregnancy.
Oh, okay.
My husband was like, okay, we are one step closer.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm like, this is not amazing.
No, you don't know what my body's going through.
And then our third attempt, we tried some supplements for egg quality, sperm quality. I had a hysteroscopy, and on our third attempt, I got pregnant.
Oh, okay.
It was a total disbelief for me.
Yeah.
It took me quite a while
Uh-huh.
to believe that I'm actually pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, if it's been that long, first of all, and then also going through all of these medical tests, exams, procedures, it really does a number on your belief system, I think. You're like, what? No.
It took us whole 12 weeks to tell people.
Yeah.
Because, I was like, let's see that gestational sac. Well, let's see the heartbeat.
I need more evidence.
Let's have that NIPT genetic testing, and then we'll see. And then my father was like, okay, when the hell are you going to tell people? How are we going to convince you that these two babies are coming?
I know. He's like, anytime you can tell the people. So when you guys did that third time, were you guys totally surprised that it was twins, or was that something that you guys had planned to implant?
Well, we had 3 embryos transferred.
You did, okay.
So
okay.
Multiples were on the table, but we were not really actually expecting that.
Okay.
Because it's a male factor issue, the odds are a little bit low. So we were not really expecting that.
Okay.
And during our first ultrasound, we only have seen just one gestational sac. And there was lots of hematomas present inside.
Oh.
So we only had just one sac. And my doctor said, so you're going home and you're lying down for the next 10 days.
Oh. You cannot get up because we need you to be okay.
And during the second ultrasound, and in Turkey, you can have any ultrasounds as you want.
What? What? This is amazing.
Yes, I was having bi-weekly ultrasounds, and sometimes ultrasounds in every 2 weeks. So Turkey has a whole different system.
Yes.
Than US.
Oh my goodness. I would love that if they did that. Okay, I really quickly on ultrasounds. Do they take pictures every time? Do they?
Yes. Yes. They email you the pictures. Also, they print out the pictures.
Amazing.
Yeah, we love pregnant women in Turkey.
It's good, right?
Yeah, it's a great place to give birth. As far as the whole medical advances goes, it's a great opportunity to be able to give birth in Turkey, actually.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
During our second ultrasound, it was actually at 5 weeks.
Okay.
My doctor said, okay, it looks a lot better. And then he said, there's something going up there. I'm not sure what it is. Let's have a look. And then, boom, we had a second heartbeat.
Okay, so seriously, it would be one thing where you're just like, oh yeah, we're pregnant. Okay, we can see that one little sac. Great. Oh, and then to get that surprise at 5 weeks, I'd be like, what?
It was such a wonderful surprise. Yes, we were shocked. We were afraid. We were like, oh my God, what are we going to do with 2 children?
We were
But
not
it was
expecting
such a
this.
wonderful surprise because,
Yeah.
I mean, we endured so much to get to that point. It was such a gift. And my doctor was jumping up and down. It's twins!
I was very excited for you too.
Yes, it was amazing.
Oh,
And
that's exciting.
and the journey has begun.
Yeah.
With such a wonderful surprise.
Yeah. It really how joyous, like you said, especially since you had had so many troubles up until then. So, okay, so because I'm very unfamiliar with how the Turkish medical system works, you went in early, right after, checked out, got confirmation of 1 heartbeat, second one at ultrasound week 5, got confirmation of 2 heartbeats. And then were you going in pretty regularly? Because twins a lot of times are considered a high risk situation. And so there's a little bit more monitoring and such. So I'm just curious how you guys did it.
So in Turkey, you can either go in privately, you can choose a private doctor, or you can choose a doctor who works in the state hospitals.
Okay.
So we chose to go in privately, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So my OB wanted to see me every 2 weeks because it was twins.
Yeah.
And she wanted to make sure everything was going smoothly. So up until from 5 weeks till the point I gave birth at 28 weeks, I went into appointments every 2 weeks. So for the last 4 weeks, it was 2 times every week, actually.
Wow. That is like, it just blows my mind that you were in the doctor's office that often, and I think that's amazing. I guess the other thing is that was your husband allowed to come with you? Did he accompany you on those appointments? He did.
Yes. My husband was always with me, but sometimes my mother also joins us during the appointments. My doctors were really cheerful about more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
I mean, in Turkey, you have that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, if you want like more than one person present with you, you can have that.
That's so great. And and that was another thing I should have clarified. Your both of your families are in Turkey as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So close by enough to you guys?
We are living in the same city with my family.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's family is in another city.
Okay.
My mother is actually a nurse, so she was quite involved with the whole pregnancy and the IVF process with us.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty great. You mentioned before that you had done some genetic testing also. Did you guys do that at some point in time?
We did the non-invasive one at 11 weeks.
Okay, yes. And did you
I just
find
wanted
out?
to make sure everything is okay. It was just flying colors.
Okay, wonderful. And I know at that time you can also find out the gender. Did you guys decide to do it at that time?
In Turkey, it is forbidden to learn about the gender.
Really? Really, yes. Really? How come? I'm so curious.
You cannot find the gender if you do a PGT during the IVF or an IPT after the IVF. It is forbidden to find out about the gender.
Okay.
I think it's mostly because they want to make sure people see girls and boys as equal as possible.
I love that. That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
It is forbidden. You cannot learn about the gender.
Okay.
My doctor guessed it around 11 weeks time. It was wrong.
That's funny.
She thought we were going to have two girls, and we were so happy about that because my husband was like, I want girls.
He's like, I'm a girl dad all the way.
Yeah. When we learned that one of the babies are boy, he was actually like, okay.
That's
At
funny.
least we have one girl.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so did you find out did you guys have an anatomy scan?
We found out about the sex at 12 weeks.
Oh, okay.
My doctor was pretty sure by then.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the anatomy scan at 21 weeks.
Okay. Wonderful. So that's pretty exciting when you find out that you like at 12 weeks. That's pretty early, it seems like to me, but still so fun. Did you guys start thinking about names then at that time?
Well, Mavi was just a certain. We were certain that if we ever going to have a daughter, she's going to be named Mavi.
It's so pretty.
Mavi actually means blue in Turkish, and it represents hope.
Oh.
So she was the hope after enduring so much time without any hope.
Yeah.
And Deniz was a compliment to Mavi. Deniz means the sea.
Oh.
And it also represents freedom in Turkish.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Our babies were our freedom and our hope.
Oh, that is so sweet. They are complementary to each other. That's just so beautiful. So you guys had thought about those names, and then how were you feeling? Did you have any morning sickness? How was your...
Well, I was quite okay for a twin pregnancy. I never had a morning sickness or anything like that. I lost a lot of weight during the first trimester.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't eat, but it wasn't because I was sick or something. I just couldn't endure food for some reason.
For some reason, okay.
And I had some blood pressure problems. My blood pressure was too low during the first 3 months, but I wasn't really that bad. I guess my pregnancy was fairly okay up until the point like 21, 22 weeks, actually.
Yeah.
During the anatomy scan, and in Turkish we call that detailed ultrasound, both babies measured a little bit smaller than their original gestational age.
Okay.
So that was the point when everything started to change for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they say, well, because I think twins usually are a little bit smaller. This was even more out of the ordinary. Is that correct?
Well, at that time, doctor said, twins are, yes, smaller, everything looks okay, but, deep down I had that feeling, I don't think everything is okay.
Yeah.
Because up until that week, they measured even bigger than their gestational age.
Okay.
And suddenly,
to be much smaller,
it was quite a shock for me.
Yeah.
But everything looked okay. They did Dopplers and they did other measurements. They looked fine. They looked happy. So it was not much of a concern by then. And I went to my original OB after the anatomy scan at 22 weeks, actually.
Okay.
And they were measuring even smaller.
Oh.
The gap between the original gestational age and the measurements were bigger than the anatomy ultrasound.
Yeah.
And I asked my doctor if we can repeat the Doppler because I suspected something is wrong with the umbilical flow.
Yes.
She said, I don't think so. I think it is just because they're twins. But I felt that something is not going
Yeah.
As it planned, something is wrong. So we kind of waited for another 2 weeks. And around those 2 weeks, I also started to get itchy, my palms and under my feet were
Yes.
itching.
Uh-huh.
So I texted my OB and said if I could have a blood test just to rule out cholestasis, intrahepatic cholestasis of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, we never see that at these weeks. You are worrying too much.
Mm.
So we went back at 24 weeks. And by that time, I also secretly did a blood work.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. And I was diagnosed with cholestasis.
Good job, you. I know. I was like, sounds like you know what you're doing. Well, and I was going to say your mom probably gave you some ideas of like, actually, it could be this.
Yeah, she also did, but I am a master Googler. I love to research. I love to read.
Yeah.
You know, it's a addiction.
Yeah.
So I was convinced that I had that,
Yeah.
but everybody kept telling me, you're worrying too much. You're listening to yourself too much. You know, everything is okay. Your doctor is, you know, saying that everything is fine. You are
Yeah.
just listening to yourself too much. But deep down, I know that something is not
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So during our 24-week ultrasound, I told my doctor, you are going to repeat the Doppler today, or I'm changing my physician.
Okay, good.
Because you are
Yes.
not listening to my concerns.
Yes.
And I am sure that something is wrong with these babies. You know, I'm feeling
I feel it.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot forget her face as she did the Doppler. We had it's called absent and diastolic flow in English. Basically, the blood flow in the umbilical cord is not high
Yeah.
as it's supposed to be.
So it
So
wasn't.
the babies are hypoxic.
Yeah.
Babies are restricted in their growth because they cannot have enough nutrients, enough oxygen, and they're under a lot of stress.
Yes.
And she panicked and she was like asking, so what are we going to do? Should we do some steroids just in case? Maybe we should plan a birth. And I was like, okay, I need to change my doctor because
We need to keep these
she's not,
babies in as long as possible also.
yes, she's not going to be an efficient person in this.
Yeah.
And at 26 weeks, I changed my doctor.
Okay.
And it was the best decision that I've ever made.
Oh, good. Okay.
And my new OB, you know, he said we only have about 3 weeks until we can get ready for a birth.
Okay.
Because if we want to save these babies,
Yeah.
we need to get them out.
Yeah.
Because we can lose them in utero.
Yeah.
With this rate of absent and diastolic flow.
Yeah.
They're not gaining enough weight. They're not having enough oxygen. And we should plan a birth.
Okay. And that
I'm
was
going to try.
that was like at
That was
26 weeks or so, right?
yes, 26 weeks.
Okay.
So we had 3 weeks. And he said, I'm going to do my best. Let's put you on some fluids. Let's put you on a high protein diet. Let's give you a high dose of vitamin E. And also he made the steroid shots so that their lungs are going to be okay when they're born.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a whole another journey for me for that actually 2 weeks. And at first he said, maybe we can wait until 30 weeks. maybe we have that chance. But at 28 weeks, one day, he was doing the ultrasound and he said, we need to schedule an emergency C-section.
Really? Oh.
Yes, because the blood flow is way worse than last week, and your labs are also worse. Your liver enzymes are high, your bile acids are high, and if we want to save all three of you, this is the last resort.
Yeah. So your doctor deemed it necessary, essentially, to save you, to save your babies at this 28 days, one day. Oh, 28 weeks.
28 weeks, one day, and I gave birth at 28 weeks, 3 days, actually.
Oh, okay. So what? Okay, so you went in for your appointment, and then did you guys? I'm assuming it wasn't an induction, was it?
No, it was a C-section.
Okay.
In Turkey, if you are a high-risk patient, they immediately opt for a C-section. They don't want to stress the baby with the whole induction process or the whole vaginal delivery process. They immediately opt for the safest option. So it's the C-section. And I was admitted the night before the delivery actually, and they were born on 11th of January this year.
For those of you who are listening, that was essentially like 4 months ago. That is not very long ago since this happened. And so this is very new and very still extremely fresh for Elif here. So we're once again so happy that you are willing to share such a difficult journey, I suspect, for you. So
I am very proud to share their story.
So you got admitted, and then you had and so it was emergent, but not. You guys were able to take a little bit of time to get in, to get everything kind of set up for yourselves, and then you went in the next morning for your C-section, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. How did that surgery go? Because it is a surgery. It's a big deal.
Actually, the surgery physically was wonderful for me. I had a wonderful team of nurses. I had a wonderful doctor, a wonderful anesthesiologist. It was all amazing for me. And the surgery was quite easy. Mavi was born crying.
Oh.
It was such a shock for me.
Yeah.
And Deniz didn't cry. And I was really panicked during that time.
Yes.
And my doctor actually stopped the surgery and he just went back, see the babies, and then came back and he said, they're okay. So just take a deep breath and focus on yourself.
Yeah. That's some good bedside manner of just like, I know she's probably worried about this so much, so I just need to give her some reassurance that they're okay.
Yes,
oh man.
He was amazing actually. And they were born actually in a positive manner. And he said they're going to bring them to NICU.
Okay.
So they're going to update you whenever you are back at your room. And as they were pushing me out from the OR, my husband said, I saw them. They said they're okay.
Yes.
And I was back in my room in like half an hour time.
Oh man, that was quick.
It was very quick. And then we started waiting. 15 minutes passed, half an hour passed, 45 minutes passed, and nobody was coming to update us. And deep down, I know that something is going wrong.
Yeah.
Something is not okay. And then my doctor came. He said, we're having difficult times with your daughter.
Oh.
She's in a very critical condition. They're doing everything they can. Deniz is okay. He's struggling, but okay.
Yeah.
But your daughter is in a very critical condition, and we can lose her anytime.
Oh.
And I said, can I see her? He said, you cannot get up right now because it's so soon after the C-section. And the last thing I remember, he said to the nurses, let's make her a little bit comfortable. And I think he meant, let's get some sedatives so that she can sleep.
Yeah.
And I slept for about 2-3 hours.
Okay.
And when I wake up, my husband told me that we lost Mavi.
Oh. So you didn't get to see her or hold her?
Well, after that, the NICU team came into my room and I asked that if I can see her. And they said, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. In Turkey, it's not really a customary thing to let parents see their deceased child.
Yeah.
It's not really a
Yeah.
thing that people do. And they brought her with a cradle into our room. And we had about 15 minutes with her.
Oh.
And then they took her, actually. And then nurses came and said, we need milk for the baby in the NICU.
Yeah.
And I actually laughed because I gave birth at 28 weeks. I said,
Yeah.
what milk?
Yeah.
It is impossible that I can provide milk at this week.
Yes.
And it was such a miracle. The nurse tried to hand express the milk.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately my milk came in.
Yeah.
It was such a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And I felt somewhat numb because, yes, I lost my daughter, but I have my son.
Yeah.
And he needs me. I guess learning about Mavi and trying to be strong for my son, it was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. And I had a wonderful support system. My sister, my mother, my father were with us, and my husband. They tried everything to support me. It was, I was so fortunate to have them.
Yeah.
So after that, the journey of NICU has started for us.
Elif, can you tell me really quickly? I just would love to hear a little bit more about Mavi. And so when you have a C-section most of the time, so she basically got whisked off. She got taken to the NICU kind of immediately.
Yes.
And it sounds like your husband got to see her when she was alive, which is wonderful. And then when you requested that that you guys be able to see her, was it just you and your husband that got to see her, or did the rest of the family?
No, actually, my sister, my parents also saw her. But it was, I guess, after we saw her.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They saw her. She was just a splitting image of me, actually. It was
really?
Yes, she looked exactly like me.
Oh, that's so fun. And I was going to ask, how big was she?
She was 890 grams.
Oh, just so little.
So small, but she was so small, yet so perfect. It's amazing to see such a small baby, but she was just looking like a normal baby. She was just smaller.
Yeah.
And I remember my husband was saying, oh my, how did we manage to make such a beautiful baby?
Well, you guys did it, so.
He said, I'm not such a handsome person. Okay, you're beautiful, but it was amazing to see her.
Yeah. Did you get to hold her? Did you want to hold her?
Yes.
Okay.
I held her. My husband didn't hold her, but I held her.
Mm-hmm.
But we forgot to take pictures. It's the thing that I'm very, very sad about. In the midst of those emotions, we forgot to take a picture of Mavi.
You have just gone through a surgery and having been kind of out of it too, right? Because needing some sleep. And so I understand that happens. So, but yes, it probably does weigh on your mind of, I wish I would have gotten that.
But he looks exactly like me. So whenever I look at my own baby pictures,
you're like, that's my daughter.
I see my daughter actually. So it's incredible.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing me a little bit more about Mavi. So Deniz, he is in the NICU. You're still healing from your C-section, and that, I mean, takes a while. It takes several hours for the anesthesia to really wear off and everything.
Yes.
Were you able?
My anesthesia was still kind of had its effects on me.
Mm-hmm.
My legs were a bit numb,
Mm.
but my doctor came back at about 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and he said, we are going to see your son. I was like, oh, I cannot walk.
This is a problem, just a little problem.
And they brought a wheelchair, and nurses kind of like scooped me from the bed.
Great.
And they wheeled me into the NICU.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so it was a very different moment when I saw Deniz for the first time. I was scared to touch him. But the doctors came and they said, you should touch him.
Okay.
Because he needs that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to touch him. Talk to him.
Were you afraid to touch him because he was hooked up to so many things, or was he
Yes,
quite
he was
fragile?
very small. He was hooked up to so many things.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to be safe.
Yes.
And if that means that I have to endure missing him,
yeah,
then it was going to be that. But I touched him, and it was such a precious moment. And we spent almost 45 minutes with him.
Oh, wonderful.
They said, you can stay here as long as you want. And they updated us like every hour as we were in the hospital. And I was actually going to be discharged next morning. We opted to stay.
Oh, okay.
Because, we want to be close to Deniz.
Yeah.
And, it was so funny. We were like, he needs to drink fresh milk. And he was drinking like 1 cc of milk, but
he needs plenty of it though. You just gotta make sure it's there.
Being a mother means being insane, actually. So
it's a good way of putting it.
So we opted to stay in the hospital, and the whole team was amazing. The nurses came every hour to see me if I need anything. And whenever the NICU was a little bit cold, and the doctors came like, come in,
yes,
stay with him.
Yes.
And it was wonderful to have that experience, actually.
Yeah.
And even though we lost one baby, we had one baby, and he was fighting so hard to stay with us.
Yeah. Did
And
he
Deniz was actually 910 grams
okay.
when he was born.
So little too.
So little, but he was so perfect.
Yeah.
And he actually exactly looked like my husband.
Really?
Yes.
Spitting images of you two.
Yes. Yeah, it was amazing to see him.
Oh, that is just wonderful. So when for Deniz, they obviously had him hooked up for everything. What were they telling you was what were they saying that has happened and they're trying to work on to help him get to a better place?
Well, his lungs were actually okay.
Okay.
He was kind of breathing on his own, but they didn't want him to use that energy
Oh,
just for breathing.
yeah.
So
Okay.
he was intubated.
Oh, and that is hard.
He had a brain bleed. I guess it was around grade two brain bleed. And he had several issues with his blood count, actually. And he had several transfusions during his just 3 days of NICU stay.
Oh my goodness.
And he was a little tough fellow, actually. The nurses were calling him Little Warrior because whenever they think that things are going to go bad,
Yeah.
he kind of fought it.
Yeah.
And he had pulmonary hypertension.
Oh, okay.
They were working on those, and they said NICU is like a long journey. It's like one step ahead and then coming back 5 steps.
Yep.
So we should expect little things every day. And the thing that he is actually taking a mother's milk and he is using that. He actually had bowel movements. It was amazing. He even gained weight.
Great. Yeah, he
Yes.
was fighting.
It was so amazing. It was just one day after my birth. I guess it was around 8 a.m. The nurses came into my room. We have wonderful news. He gained 10 grams.
Yes.
We were like,
party. Oh, that's so great.
It was amazing, and they were working on those. Doctors always talk, I guess, in a safe zone. They don't want you to get your hopes up.
Yes.
But they don't also want you to feel hopeless.
Yes. Yeah.
So I gave birth on Thursday. And it was Saturday when we had our funeral for Mavi.
Oh.
So in Turkey, I'm a Muslim. So in our customs, it is complementary to the deceased one to do the funeral as quickly as possible.
Okay. Yeah.
For them to feel peaceful.
Yeah. Okay.
For them to start their resting as soon as possible. So we arranged it on Saturday. Actually, my father arranged everything so that we don't have to think about those things. It was a very tiny ceremony at the cemetery, just close friends and family. And I guess it's equal to the priest in
a church. Yes. So
Christian belief. It's our imam who had the prayers. And he said this separation is just going to last for a short time. Don't forget that. Just be patient. She's waiting for you. So after the funeral, we came back to hospital, and the doctor said this morning he had some difficulties, but it's getting better. We have some positive things and we have some negative things, but if we just get past the 72-hour mark, then we can talk a little bit more about how things are going to progress.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, actually on Sunday morning at 4 a.m., we woke up to give milk to Deniz. And the nurses came and said the doctor wants to talk with Emre, my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I felt that something is not going according to the plan. Something is going, something is not right in the NICU.
Yeah.
So he went in and I waited for about 10 minutes. And then I went to the NICU door and the nurses also picked me up and we saw that they're performing CPR on Deniz.
Oh.
They said we actually had to do this procedure for 45 minutes, but we have been trying to make him come back for the past 5 hours.
Oh.
And we are doing everything we can, but probably this is not going to end well. So we went back to our room, and at 6 a.m. we learned that Deniz also passed away.
Oh.
And we went into the queue. We held him. We talked with him. And, I said to my husband, just send a text message to my sister. Because every morning at 7 a.m., my parents and my sister came to hospital. And the first thing they do was just go to the NICU, learn about the baby, and then come to me. And I said, I don't want them to learn about this when they come to the hospital. And my husband texted my sister, and they came at around 7:30 a.m. And I remember nurses asking me if I want to take something just to feel a little bit more relaxed. I said no. And they kept telling me, you are the strongest person we have ever seen. I said, I have no other option. This is my only option. I have no other way. I have to be strong.
Yeah.
I wish I never had that opportunity to be strong.
Yeah.
And after that, they said, let's pump out your milk. And then we're going to give you some medicine to stop your milk. You can discharge whenever you want to. You're free to go. And we went back home at about 10 a.m.
Oh.
And on the same day, we had the funeral for Deniz.
You did. You were able to do that.
Okay. My husband and my father did their best to make that happen. And we laid them side by side.
Oh. Yeah.
Actually, in Turkey, if you buried someone, you cannot open that grave. I guess you have to wait at least a year.
Okay.
But they did something. I really don't know how they managed to do that.
Yeah.
but we laid them side by side.
That's wonderful.
It was such a relief because they were together in my womb, so they deserve to be together at that grave too. I'm so sorry, I promised myself that I won't cry.
No, you have to cry. I didn't get my tissues this time.
It's a person that can endure or process at just basic level,
I'm so sorry. I don't want to imagine having lost 2 of my kids. I'm so sorry. I
never wish anybody to go through something like this.
Yeah.
But I want to say to all other lost moms, we're not alone. You're not the only person that is trying to go through this.
Yeah.
It is the worst community with the best people. I had so much support, so much love.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it. Just the worst community with the best people. I've never heard that before, but I really like it because I have met the best people having gone through this, and
I guess nobody can understand you if they did not walk through the same path.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
To empathize with this kind of situation. It's impossible.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we had a stillbirth, and it's very different, like what you guys were going through, and because the NICU in itself is a very, very different. It's a very different experience, also, and just how difficult that is. Because, like you said, they had to balance it between hopeless and totally hopeful, and just trying to improve those little babies so that they could maybe stay a little bit longer.
It's such a weird word. Just before my discharge on Sunday, mom next to our room lost her baby, and it was such a traumatic experience for her too, because she was admitted for a planned C-section, and she was going to go in for a C-section that morning. And during their checkups, they found that baby has passed away.
Oh.
It was such a weird thing because I was going through this unimaginable experience, and that then another mom had to endure the same thing. And it was like she was at 40 weeks.
Yes.
And it was just a planned C-section.
Yeah. Everything was ready to go, and baby was coming out. Yeah, it's amazing how it's crazy how some of this stuff happens. So we were just talking before we started the recording. You were mentioning today you guys went to do something a little bit for your babies today. How did that go?
Yes. In Turkey, after the burial, you have to wait about a few months before you can design and make the grave. Just because of the soil structure.
Oh, yes. Okay.
It's totally because of that. And today we went to pick marbles and some designs for their grave. We have a wonderful friend who is going to design their grave.
Oh.
It was an emotional day for me.
Yeah.
But it is also kind of a way to find a closure. because now they're going to have a forever home, a forever resting peace.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard.
Yeah.
Because, mother should pick out outfits or toys
Yes.
for their babies, not marbles for
Not
their
marbles.
grave.
Nope. You design a nursery, you design all these things, but you never think to get a gravestone. It's so, feels so unfair. I was trying to think if there's any other things that there was a couple of questions that I had, and I'm like, oh no, they're gone now. Darn it.
I cried and made you lose your all.
No, it's good. This is the thing. So, with the condition you had where your umbilical cord wasn't essentially giving them enough oxygen, they weren't getting enough nutrients essentially, so that they were getting smaller. Did they think that was something that would prevent you from any issues in the future?
Well, my OB, my actual last OB who did the whole delivery process, thinks that if I manage to have a singleton, this thing is not going to repeat itself. It is because my uterus is a little bit on the smaller side, and the placentas were a bit smaller. So the whole insufficiency is because of that. And if I ever going to have another pregnancy with a singleton, he thinks that I will be quite healthy and have an unproblematic pregnancy. We actually sent the placenta pathology to Yale University in US.
Okay.
I managed to make a contact with the placental pathology department there.
Yeah.
And I just want to have some detailed answers. We're still waiting for the results.
Yeah. And
we'll see if we can prevent this or if we can do anything to prevent this. But most doctors say that this is just a case of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with me. I did my best. I actually diagnosed myself. I did everything I can to save these babies. So, I am the last person to blame. My OB said to my parents after Deniz passed, he said, okay, we found each other in a very later time with Elif, but I'm here and I'm going to do everything in my power to give her that healthy baby. Because I lost 2 babies that I was so sure that I was going to rescue. And this also hurts me, and I'm going to do everything I can from this point. And it was such a reassurance.
Yeah. It is,
he still calls me time to time. Just to say hello, how are you? Is everything all right?
Yeah. Yeah. That is really so kind. And once again, I'm so glad, because it sounds like you just got a doctor that was willing to listen to you and to your concerns, and obviously is going to be way in tune to everything that's happened to you.
Yes. He said, yes, we have mothers that worry too much. We have mothers that think too much. And we, yes, have sometimes mothers come to us and tell us absolutely ridiculous stories and absolutely ridiculous symptoms. But there is something called maternal instinct.
Yes.
And we cannot deny that. And if a mother is feeling that something is wrong week after week, day after day, just do a blood work, just do a Doppler, just to say, honey, you are worrying too much. Everything is okay. It's the easiest thing that we can do.
It really is, especially since you guys can, do all those tests actually kind of readily, it seems like. And so,
yes, in Turkey, you can just go to any laboratory and do a blood work.
Yeah,
and
you don't need
no one is
orders.
going to ask you any questions.
Oh, man. Yeah. No wonder
You
it was
don't
easy for you
even
to do.
need a physician to refer you, or
Yeah.
you don't even need anything like that.
Yeah, no wonder you self-diagnosed your cholestasis. It's like, that is so great and so funny because I think that's one thing that we sometimes ignore, and sometimes it gets ignored a lot. I think in the United States that the maternal instinct, there is something you just kind of know something's not quite right, and you don't know what it is until it strikes. And so, yeah, I am so sorry again for your loss and your two losses,
Thank
your two
you.
little babies. And I thank you so much for sharing their story. I would like to ask you, is there anything that you would like to say about them that you want everybody else to know about them?
You know, even if I knew that I was going to suffer such a loss, I would choose to leave that pregnancy again and again, because those 28 weeks, it was amazing. It was the happiest time of my life, because that pregnancy was something that I was so sure that I was never ever going to live.
Oh, that's beautiful. Elif, thank you so much again. And thank you
Thank
for
you. Thank you
sharing
so
them.
much for having me.
Oh, yes. This has been a pleasure for me. So thank you again.
Thank you.